All right, for today's video review, we're going to be taking a look at another one of the Human Alliance Scout class figures from Dark of the Moon. And yeah, this time we're going to be taking a look at Reverb, who's a neat little figure. Now, just like Backfire, I am missing the accessories that came with this guy. Originally, he came with like a little missile pod that was using that, clip point 3mm system, so it could like snap onto the side here. And I'm also obviously missing the human that came with this guy, but yeah, I don't really care. Like, I really just wanted these figures for the figures themselves, not for the little guys that come with them, because they don't really scale with everything else. But yeah, Reverb turns into a really strange little like asymmetrical VTOL motorbike type thing here, and I have no idea if this thing would actually work. My instinct would tell me no, like that it would just like fall over that way, but I don't know, maybe there's some gyroscopic principle or something that would mean this thing could actually fly. I have no idea, but either way, it's a neat little, like, I don't know, like cyberpunk style futuristic motorbike or something like that. I don't know, it's a neat alt mode, definitely weird, but it's kind of cool. But yeah, in terms of comparisons in this mode, here he is with Kingdom Sideswipe. Obviously, I mean, this is a made-up vehicle, but still obviously doesn't scale, just given the size of the seat and the handlebars and all that. I don't have anything else like this, but here he is with a core class, motorcycle-esque figure with Iguanus again, for whatever that's worth. And then here he is with the other two, Dark of the Moon, Scout class Human Alliance figures that we've taken a look at with Backfire and Sandstorm, just so you can see what the three of them look like together. And, just like I said, like, you could use any of the clip point weapons and spaces like that. Weirdly, these bits look like they're clip points, but they definitely aren't, because like that point is just too small. It doesn't really clip onto that. It's like not even close to 3mm. So it's a little weird that those are there, but he's got a few other places, like over here on his big VTOL fan, to just make it even more ridiculously weighted to one side. Why ever not? But yeah, you can have fun with that. And we'll bring on Private Deadcliff again to show his integration with, though not the person that he came with, but with the little human figure, since they're all largely the same. And yeah, you can get him seated on there and get him kind of, it sort of feels like you have to like stretch the arms a little bit to actually get him holding both of those, but that looks relatively good. Another weird thing is that he's got these little like foot pedals here in the back that have like a peg on them for the humans to sit, but you definitely can't get another guy sitting over there, because they're permanently sort of bent out to the side like this, because they're on like a little hinge, but they can't actually go just like straight up, which is super weird, because if you take like Deadcliff here and just peg his foot into one side, you definitely cannot get it so he's actually sitting on the seat. And I'm pretty sure this isn't for the weapon mode either, because these end up in a place that you wouldn't really have two figures, you wouldn't really have a figure sitting on it. But yeah, that's super weird. So you could get a guy here. I guess maybe these are for, oh yeah, look at that. You can kind of get him hanging on there. You can have that going on. I'm sure there's some way you could do that more elegantly, but maybe that's what those are for. But either way, I don't know what those are for, because you definitely can't get a guy sitting on it, because unless these guys have a different posability, just the way that they like function, you couldn't get the foot sitting in an angle like that and then stretch around the other leg to sit on the other side. So I'm not really sure what that's about, but whatever. But yeah, like with the other ones, this guy does also have a weird sort of tertiary weapon mode, and his is kind of neat. It's not my favorite. I still think that Backfires is just the best of the three that I have, but he's got some neat stuff going on. But yeah, to get to that mode, first thing you want to do is just untab the VTOL blade. And I guess if you wanted this to be like symmetrical, you could, put it underneath like that. I don't know if that's any less ridiculous, but you could do that for the alt mode. But yeah, you just want to untab that for now. You want to untab this back section here, and then the whole thing is going to, how does this rotate around? I guess it has to rotate around that way. Yeah. You want it to rotate around like this. So it's on a slider, and it's also on a rotation joint. And you just want to rotate it around so that it sits 90 degrees from how it was. Then leave everything tabbed in place. For these, you can fold it up, but it will end up brushing against the fan blade there. And if you fold it down, you could see it from the front. So kind of whichever you prefer. And then you take this back section here and you untab it. and it actually unclips at this section here, and you want to leave this center block tab together and still where it was for alt mode. And then you fold that in, and then these holes on the bigger fan blade will go into these pegs on the little ones. And then you can take this section here and just rotate it around and then fold this down just to make it look less like the front end of a motorbike type thing, just so it's a little bit more disguised. And then you take this handlebar or whatever it's supposed to be and just fold that up so that you can rotate around this panel, which has the peg on it. And yeah, there you have his weapon mode. It's a big, weird sort of like VTOL blade weapon, but it's kind of cool. I think that this has more merit than the weird chair that Sandstorm turns into, because it's like, you got a huge fan weapon. It's a little ridiculous, but it's kind of cool. And like I said, you can fold this up instead of down, so it's not visible from the front, but it's like right up against the fan blades. Actually, no, right now it's kind of not, but yeah, you could do that. So whichever you prefer. Doesn't really matter, but yeah, it's kind of neat. But as with all these guys, they're a little bit unwieldy just because the weapon being the size of a scout class figure is still pretty big. But we'll bring on a couple of figures to show how that actually works there. Like if we bring on Sideswipe here, again, it's basically as big as he is. It does help a little bit if, just like Backfire, you rotate this peg around so he's holding it more in the middle of it. And you can kind of get that working. It sort of works. It's big and ridiculous. It would probably just push him over if he actually turned the wind on, but you can do that. And again, just like Backfire and not like Sandstorm, this bit doesn't have any soft locking bits, unfortunately, which would have been hugely helpful, especially because even if you get a figure holding it, you don't want the section that you're holding it from to be wobbly, since the entire weapon is like an entire figure. But yeah, we can bring on Ultra Magnus again and show off how that looks. A figure that actually can reasonably hold this size weapon. And yeah, it's weird, but I feel like that looks pretty cool. But yeah, to get onto the rest of the transformation, you just want to flip this bit back around and leave that in place. Fold this back down. Leave this section up like this, and then take the handlebar section and fold that up. That'll be his head. And then you want to take this back section here and just untab it, and then we can fully separate it here, and then bring it out to the side on these hinges like that. You want to clip these bits back into place. These will be the legs, and just straighten out these joints here, just like that. Then we can take this whole section. We actually want to rotate it around like this and then slide it up so it sits like that. And then to lock this in place, you can take this little section here and it'll actually clip underneath just like that. And then you want to take these sections here, untab them from the side, and then on these little black armatures, you want to maneuver them around the head there, so they'll go in and clip onto the side of the body, again, just to help everything stay locked in place here and keep that rotation joint from moving when you're trying to pose them around in robot mode. Everything does kind of bump into each other here. Like you can see, I keep messing with the fan blade there. And then you want to take the gray section of these bits here and just unfold them like that, flip out the hands, and then rotate these forward to be the arms. And then for this side, I usually just take this section and kind of rotate it up like that. It's kind of in the way no matter what, and I don't think it really contributes to any of the modes, so I sort of wish this section just kind of wasn't there, but whatever. And then you want to take the fan blade here and just double hinge it up so that this hole here will go over the peg that was like the handle for the gun mode there. And there we have Reverb in his robot mode. And yeah, he's got a really cool little vibe here. I have one very, very big problem with this figure, and that is he is super floppy. And unfortunately, it is in the ball joints in the hips, which can be fixed, but unfortunately it's also in the little hinge joint here that that actually folds for transformation, which is a bit more of a pain to tighten up, so I just never have gotten around to it. But even if the ball joints are tight, his legs would still wiggle around a little bit, which is super annoying and is honestly by far the worst part of this figure, because otherwise he's pretty cool. He's got a fun little vibe here. He's kind of got the Armada sideways type head there with the handlebars. In terms of articulation, his head is on a ball joint. He does kind of, either the handlebars or his chin end up bumping into things, so it's kind of a limited range, but it works well enough. The shoulders here are on universal joints, which can rotate around like that and then fold up and down. He's got ball joints at the elbows, which gives him a bicep swivel and a little over 90 degrees of bend there. And then also he has this separate transformation joint. So if you want to bend the elbow like in, he can get like a pretty deep curl, which is kind of cool. Hips are on ball joints, like I said, which can go forward and back and out to the side, which are very floppy, and also so are these little hinges, so it's annoying. He's got a thigh swivel, which is also pretty loose on him, annoyingly, and then he has a double jointed knee, though this is really where you'd want to use the knee joint, because this is like halfway up his leg here, because he's doing that transformer thing of having huge lower legs and kind of little upper legs, but you can get a pretty deep bend there, especially considering all the stuff in the back here, and then nothing at the feet. So not amazing, but fine, good enough. I think that this would be pretty decent articulation if it weren't just for the super floppy joints there. In terms of comparisons in this mode, if I can get him standing up here, here he is again with side swipe, so you can see what he looks like with an average size deluxe, and then iguanas, so you can see what he looks like with a average core class. Obviously, scouts were a bit bigger than our modern core classes, but you get a sense there. And then here he is again with Sandstorm and Backfire, just so you can see what the three of them look like together. And he's pretty cool. I like all three of these guys. I think he's probably my least favorite overall, but it's mostly just because of the floppy legs. Like, his robot mode is fine. It's not, not my favorite of the three. His alt mode is fine, not my favorite of the three. And his weapon mode is fine, not my favorite of the three. But he's also not my least favorite of the three in any regard. So, well, no, that's not true. I guess maybe his alt mode is my least favorite. I think that this guy is the best robot mode, and also maybe the best alt mode. I don't know. But the worst weapon mode, this guy he's kind of middle of the pack all the way around, except maybe my least favorite alt mode. And then this guy has the worst robot mode, but has the best weapon mode. So yeah, they all kind of even out in the end. But this is a cool little line. And then I guess also here he is with Private Deadcliff there. I forgot to show off that these didn't make any sense in weapon mode either, but they face forward, so I don't know how they would. So I again don't really know what those are for. I guess you could get it so he's like in his robot mode, he's got like a foot on here. Oh, that doesn't really work either. I was gonna say, yeah, no, not really. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what those are for, because it doesn't really seem to make sense in any mode. But whatever. But that's pretty much all there is to him. Again, he's a decent little figure, aside from the fact that he's super floppy loose. But I can tighten up the ball joints. I don't know how easy it would be to tighten up those hinges. So I don't know how fixable it really is. But whatever. If you get him standing there, he looks pretty cool. I do really like the fan blade on the back, and I like that all these spin as well. It's a really neat little feature. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to him. If you enjoy my videos, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel. I do reviews every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. And without further ado, here we have Transformers Dark of the Moon Human Alliance Reverb.